guys, coming up on the Hey Frase podcast with Paul Wharton, Dana Marlowe is here from I Support the Girls. You guys are going to love this charity, which involves giving tampons and pads to homeless women. I love this. And Paul.
And why I feel people should put some respect on my name.
Woo!
I explain it all today.
All that and more next on the show. This winter, time to spend some time in Crystal City with our friends there. There's all kinds of great things happening, from wine tastings to bike rides, art shows to beer gardens, street hockey to fashion shows, and so much more. There's always something going on in Crystal City. Visit crystalcity.org.
And are you interested in finding a real estate team that knows all the hot properties in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia? Well, I know one. The Mandy and David team at Compass is perfect for you. Check them out at mandyanddavid.com and feel free to contact my friend Mandy Mills.
RunPacers.com are our awesome partners, and they have fantastic running and walking shoes. They also have 6 locations all around the U.S. and in the East Coast as well. But here locally, Clarendon, Alexandria, Fairfax are just a couple. You can go to RunPacers.com and find a location near you. All right.
Hey.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Here
we go.
What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase.
What's the phrase
that you hear? Tune in.
Yeah, you gotta tune in.
Sarah Fraser
On the mic and she about to begin. The co-host with the most, Paul Wharton's looking bleak. Take it from me, you should be listening. Live from the nation's cap, pop culture at its best. No need to second guess from the rest.
Entertaining nonetheless. Many topics to address. Sarah, she's so glamorous, the #1 hostess.
Paul Wharton.
Hey, baby.
Hi, Gall. Hi,
you
Gall.
doing?
Hi, Gall. Hi, doll. How's it going?
That's a half doll and a half girl.
Guy. You're
Well,
a guy
I want to
doll.
talk to you about that.
You're my guy doll.
It's so funny.
What about it?
But hi.
Hi,
I can't wait to talk to you. That's the thing.
I know. And you guys, thank you so much. We cannot tell you how grateful we are for all of you guys supporting this podcast. You know, thousands of you download, and to new people discovering our show for the very first time. I'm Sarah Fraser, and this is Paul Wharton.
Yes.
We've been friends for many years.
Yeah.
We teamed up with this podcast about a year ago, going up on a year ago.
Oh, my God.
We talk about news, pop culture, our lives, and hopefully stories that make you think every single week. Our backgrounds are in broadcasting. I started in radio and TV. Paul's been on MTV's Made. He's on TV. We both work for Channel 5. So lots of people tune in and they're like, hey, I love you guys. So what's your backstory?
What's your story?
What's your story? So there's a little bit of it.
Well, I'm loving you more every day.
Oh, my God, me too.
I really am.
We do get along very well.
Somebody was like, you are a great actor on that podcast. I'm like, look, I am not acting. I really love that girl.
Great actor.
They were like, you are a great actor.
Well, fuck you. This is
Yeah,
real.
I know. This is like my longest term relationship of my life, actually.
Right.
Shit.
Screw you. We get on great together. We really do.
Yeah.
So anyway, you guys, thanks for listening. You can always shoot us questions and your feedback. We get lots of emails. We try to answer them or address them on the podcast. It's sarah@heyfrase.com, and it's paulwhartonstyle@yahoo.com. Let's get into it. What were you wanted to tell me something about when I called you a gall?
Well, it's really interesting. You and I both work, at the same place, and I noticed
at this little TV station.
a little TV station, and I noticed that one of the guys there, he calls me, hey girl.
Oh, that's a real sore spot for you.
Well,
You do
first
not
of all,
like
in
that.
real life, I don't do that. People in the club or the street or, hey girl. No, actually not.
Why do you think that is? You think it's because
No, I just think it's a term of endearment between gay people sometimes, hey girl. But I'm not a lesbian. I'm a gay guy.
Yes.
I'm a guy. So in fact, the more you're around me, the more manly I get.
It's so
because
true.
I let that thing drop down low in real life, You know what I mean? Because when you're talking on TV or you're doing this, you don't want to be like, but I get a little barky in real life because I'm like, I got a lot of shit to do and I don't have a lot of time to waste. And so they're like, hey, that gay guy has balls. You know what I mean? So he called me, hey girl. And then yesterday, one of the girls at the station heard him saying that, and she said, girl, to me. And so I pulled them both to the side, and I said, hey, guys, how about this? no more "Hey girl" to me.
Good
because
for you.
I don't want anyone else in this station feeling like they can address me that way.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be a problem. Now, those two people I love.
Right, sure.
I think they're great, but they use that term too loosely around too many people, so I had to pull them up. What do you think about that?
I think it's fine. I think that's great. I think knowing you, because I know you, and I've seen other people in your life try that with you, and you don't like it. And I think it's great that you say something.
Yeah.
I don't think that, if you don't tell people, they don't know. They think everything's fine. They'll cross the line with you. People, to me, always push boundaries as far as they can push them until you say something.
But
Always.
it's also interesting to me that people can be in a work environment and say, "Hey girl," to a guy in earshot of their boss. It's like, do you really want to be doing that, around all these people?
I would think no, but honest to God, look, we see it all the time, right? With sexual assault, sexual harassment, people I think for whatever reason, and I feel like school, you go to school, whatever, school teaches you a lot, but I don't think that people are ever taught things about, respective relationships and sex and how to be a good partner in a relation. I honestly don't. I don't think we learn any of that stuff growing up, because I think a lot of parents, it's very uncomfortable conversation. Not for every parent. I know I have friends that their parents really had a lot of open conversations with them, but I think people don't know how to behave in all social situations.
Sure. Well, a lot of it I just think is intuition. I've had to learn as I go. I never really graduated from school. Some people know at 19 years old, I packed a bag. Of course, I teased the title of my memoir is going to be "I Came in Coach."
Right.
And I flew back on a private plane. My dad will hate that. But anyway, I got a one-way ticket to New York at 19, and I went, and my family had a place in Harlem, so I guess I wasn't that, destitute. But it was old, and I had to fix it up. I had to fix up my big brownstone.
Yeah, all by yourself at 19.
At 19, but my uncle came from Malibu, and he was living in New York and Malibu, so he came back to New York. I have a gay uncle.
Wait, and that was the one, I love this one. Isn't his name David?
It is.
And isn't he the one that's kind of odd, he doesn't always talk to you or something?
No, he says the spirit told him to do it.
Oh, that's right. He's very moved by spirit.
The spirit told me to go over water, so, I had to drive over a bridge. One time, the spirit told him to change the locks and lock my ass out in the snow. Okay? I'm in the middle of Harlem at 19 years old, locked out. Actually, I think I was 21 by then. Locked out. I had to call for the cops to come. But the spirit told him to open the door when the cops came.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
What happened to David, by the way?
Well, David's still around. We've had our ups and downs. He strangled me. He would kill me if he heard this podcast. It was part of my life. But I tell you, we lived in this big brownstone together, this big 5-floor brownstone in Harlem. And I met this guy, my first boyfriend, Jason. Oh my God. When I broke up with Jason, I couldn't go on the Upper West Side for 3 years. I was so devastated. But I love Jason. Good looking, lawyer, amazing. But he was closer to my uncle's age. Because I was 21, Jason was 36. And my uncle at the time was around 36 or 37. So anyway, one day my uncle was reading tarot cards out at a street fair on the Upper West Side, and Jason and I were holding hands. I love watching you just crack up. You guys should see her. She is just on the floor listening. This is my life, Sarah.
Oh my God, I think it's hysterical. Your family is a riot. And I've just met your mom for the first time at your birthday, at your big birthday celebration, and she's so sweet.
Oh my God,
but I want to meet David and the spirit.
Oh God, the spirit will tell him something about it. In fact, I should just call him and say, what's the spirit tell you about Sarah Fraser? I'm going to text him and see what he says back.
Oh my God, seriously, do it.
And then I'll share it. But
and
basically,
then give us the spirit reading on our podcast. What's going to happen?
I'll give us a spirit reading.
He's a channel.
Spirit said yes, baby. Yeah. Spirit says yes. So my uncle, who's also gay, met Jason for the first time at this street fair where he was reading tarot cards, and I just saw a little shift in his eye. So I used to actually stay at Jason's house a lot. He lived on 74th between Amsterdam and Columbus, but Jason wasn't out.
Okay, sure. Okay.
To his family. So whenever his family would come visit, because he wanted to, get an inheritance from his rich parents, and his dad had died, his mom was still living, but he would make the apartment look like it was just him living
Single
there.
guy, yeah, sure.
So then I would go home to the brownstone in Harlem, because we had a big 5-floor brownstone, and I lived on the top, and Uncle David lived on the bottom floor.
Got it.
Anyway, ciao. Spirit told him that he and Jason should have been together.
Oh, that's right.
And he let it be known that Spirit said it, and he just didn't think I was getting the point. So, honey, Spirit told him to wrap his hands around my neck. We was a rolling around on the floor. Oh, I was a fighting motherfucker. Oh, I was. He didn't know that about that. Spirit didn't tell him I knew how to kick ass.
Paul, do you think he was really trying to like choke you out and really?
He tried, but you know. I'm a little scrappy, so he didn't realize that.
Was your like relationship over after that for a while? Did you like move out?
I knew it. I was like, I know he's hot, right? Like, I'd fight for him too.
Were you worried about your safety staying there?
Hell yeah.
With David after that? Yeah, I would hope.
Oh yeah. I locked the door. Yeah. When I was in my room, I was locked in. But you know what? We've had an interesting up and down relationship over the years. He's the kind of guy, he's all in or he's not. So if you're talking to him, he's calling you 15 times a day. Right.
And then if it's off, it's off. Like
we don't speak for 10 years.
Right.
It's like that. Yeah.
Oh my God, Paul, you crack me up.
You know, and he's also a cat guy. You know, I'm a dog person. But,
yeah, more of a. Oh, really?
So it's like Uncle David. He's gay. He reads tarot. Spirit tells him what to do, and he's got 15 cats.
Okay, I gotta meet him. Oh my God, he sounds amazing.
Oh, that's it.
Look, we have so much coming up on the show. I have a life dilemma with a friend of mine. I told you guys on the last podcast on episode 214, which if you haven't downloaded, you can go listen to our episode. But I was talking about that when I went back to Maine for Thanksgiving, I saw some of my old high school friends. And so one of them has sort of gone through a traumatic incident. And I want your advice on how to handle this. So that's coming up. Okay. Also, 7 in 10 Americans say they would not give holiday gifts at all this holiday season. I want to know.
I'm down.
You are?
I'm down.
Really? I thought you loved gifts. And I thought you loved giving.
I love giving an experience. Food, drink, music, nice decor, come, share, laughter, but why don't we take some of that money for the gifts and give it to the less fortunate? There's so many people out there that, you know, I can change somebody's life with like $100, $150 worth of groceries. I mean, I could like bring somebody to tears and give their whole family groceries. So no, we don't need a gift.
Okay, well, great. Well, we'll talk about that. I thought for sure you'd be down for that. And also,
hold up. Wait.
I'm not buying you a gift.
Who? No. Now, but you talking about Renzo sending me a gift from Italy?
Yes.
No, I'll take it. But in terms of me, I'm gonna help the needy, not the greedy.
Okay. Oh. That sucks. And also, Dana Marlowe is on this show. She's an amazing woman. This woman, she's a woman boss herself, and she had a great company going. But a couple of years ago, she went to donate her bras to a homeless shelter. She lost a lot of weight. She was cleaning out her closet. So she goes and she says to this homeless shelter, hey, you know, I have these bras and they're nice. I just can't fit in them anymore. There's no damage to them. Do you guys take bras? You probably don't. And they were like, yes, we desperately need bras. And she got into this conversation with this homeless shelter about how no one donates bras. You can't obviously donate used underwear, but no one donates bras, underwear, tampons, and pads to homeless shelters, which was kind of crazy. I was like, oh shit, you know what? When she said that, I thought to myself, yeah, when I donate clothes, I never even think to give bras. I always throw my bras out. So anyway, she started an organization called ISupportTheGirls.org. You might have seen it. She's been in like Marie Claire.
Okay.
She's like had all this
sounds
press.
Familiar.
Been on Today's Show. So she's on the podcast later today talking about, as we head into or in the holiday season, but so many homeless women and women that are in abusive situations that are trying to find a place to stay. You know, obviously your period doesn't stop just because you're having a life crisis. So Dana is on the show to talk about how we can help, how you can donate bras and tampons. Yeah, me too. I didn't even think about it. And she said the need is so great. So definitely stay tuned for this show.
Can't wait.
At the end of the show, we're going to sit down and talk with her. But I wanted your advice. So, you know, I went to Maine and I have a friend. He and his wife, and I won't get into too many details because I don't know if they listen or they don't listen, but essentially he went through something very traumatic that involved the loss of a child, of an unborn child, and that's all I'll say about it. So it was very, very sensitive. And she put something out on her Facebook page, but she's private, and of course, I don't even know how many friends she has. So when I got together with this group of people, he was one of the people in the group, and I've been hearing through the grapevine, through other friends and through family members that know him, that it's very traumatic for them. They don't really want to talk about it. So we got together the whole night. Nobody says a thing about this major event that's just happened in their lives. And everybody kisses goodbye. We all leave. I come back to D.C., and I'm just thinking to myself, God, nobody really mentioned it. Like, don't. And when I first heard about this, because here's the thing, like his wife put something on Facebook, and she doesn't have many Facebook friends, so it wasn't like us putting something on Facebook. But but anyway, I was like, God, do you go back and say something to them?
But she put what on Facebook? She put something that shared a bit of her. Maybe that's all she was willing to share at that time. I mean,
basically talking about their recent loss.
Yeah.
That, her life has changed because recently, because I think everybody knew they were pregnant and pretty far along pregnant.
So you have to address it. You have to address it in a certain way because people knew that she was pregnant. But I'll tell you.
Do you think I should? Yeah, what do you think?
No, I think that's a topic that it's really up to them. It's their prerogative how much they can talk about or are willing to talk about at the time. I mean, I could see that being something that's very, very painful, and it's still fresh.
Right.
And it's still fresh.
Yeah,
so I don't really know if it's your place, actually, as an old friend from Maine, because, see, part of you is also like a TV host and a podcast host. So
yeah, they did say at the table that I was like grilling everybody for like info.
Right. So I just don't want that to be, and I have to think about that sometimes too. Like when I'm talking to someone about something very personal in their life, is this gossip? And as soon as I think that it's gossip, I stop. Like, am I bringing them into something, or am I sharing something with someone because they want to help me get to the next spot, get to a higher ground, reach my goal, or are they just engaging me in that for gossip? And sometimes we don't know that we're doing that, but I'm just mindful of that.
Right. No, I think that's good. And I did text him, and maybe I just leave it at that.
Because really, what were you going to offer in that situation?
Well, nothing. I just, I always want them to know. And again, I did text and just tell them that, hey, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I know I live afar, but I'm always willing to help, What
are you willing to do in that situation?
If they need to listen, if they want to talk to anybody, I'm always there to listen. And, just if they need support, they want to come out and have a drink when I'm back or something, you know what I mean? Just to get their minds off it, like that kind of stuff.
Okay. No, I hear you. And I think your intention is solid because I know you and I know your heart. But just for me, I try to be mindful when someone's asking me personal things.
Sure.
My radar is up. Okay, are they just asking to get the information and then they do nothing with it? Like, for instance, there's a friend of mine is on a reality show. She's on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay, she and I are beefing at the moment. In fact, I'd love to talk about that later on the show.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I will talk about it. But she's the kind of friend that will ask you something, or you'll be engaged in a conversation where you think you're mutually sharing something.
Sure.
You share something, very personal, very deep. And yeah. And then you finish, and she's like, all right, well, I have to go pick up something from the... Wait, whoa.
I just spilled my heart out.
I just told you all my business. And now you got to go get your dry cleaning? Like, what's up?
Yeah, right.
See, something like that, that's just for gossip. So she just is nosy, and she wants the information. But it's not a mutual exchange. She didn't necessarily offer me any bits of advice based on her own experience that were going to help me through that process. She just wanted to know.
Fascinating. Okay. Yeah. That's really good advice. Okay. I think that's great advice. Yeah, and I never really thought about it, but it was funny because they were always saying, like, you're always asking questions. We're going to ask the questions about you. And I was like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm an open book. But I can understand that sometimes people, don't want that. No. In other news, too, I was going to tell you, so, and Paul, maybe you can help me with this. I swear to God.
Yeah, I'm here for you, baby.
Well, no, but yesterday, I have a problem in my life where I commit to way too much crap. Like, I'm over fucking whelmed. And yesterday on the podcast, because in September I announced I'm going to do 3 podcasts a week. I'm going to do this Mindful Mondays podcast. I'm going to do the In the Mind of Frase, which will be all about interviews and experiences. Anyway, yesterday I ended the Tuesday podcast.
Okay.
Because I have, between Fox 5's Mansion Murder podcast, our show, Mondays, then, we're working on growing this podcast show, other projects I have cooking. It's like too much. And so anyhow, I wanted to give everybody the heads up. Like, thank you for listening to it. I really love you. If you're wondering why you're not going to hear a Tuesday's podcast anymore, it's because I don't know how to say no.
Okay, great. That's a great lesson. And you know what? It wasn't for me to tell you that you were overextending yourself. It's just like I had this idea for a podcast myself that I would do on my own.
Oh, right.
Initially when you were still doing this podcast with Sammy. And when I took this on, you used to ask me, do you still want to launch that? Why don't you launch that? And you have this. And I thought to myself, well, gosh, I already have 10 jobs. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, I need a little time for myself. And I need some time to decompress. And I need time to create. Because what people don't see in our industry, okay, so we work in television and podcasts. Somebody's got to create all this stuff. Somebody has to produce it.
Yes. We produce our own stuff.
Yeah.
We produce our own stuff. We pick the story. Yes, go on.
You got to come up with it. You got to book it. You got to, in terms of TV, you got to shoot it. You got to sit in on the edit. You got to do a paper cut. Then you got to promote it. Then it has to air. And then you got to do it all over again. So, you got to account for all that time. You can't, book up your schedule so tight that there's no time to do all that stuff. And then what about you? What about some time for you?
Oh my God, it's so true. And you know what? You're so good at that. And it's true. And that's the thing is people are like, how do I start my podcast? You know what? I'm jaded today. Don't start it. Because it's like then you got to do. Yeah. Best witches is gonna suck. But it's true. Yeah. It's like putting together the show, doing our behind the scenes videos, all this stuff. It's just so time consuming. Working with our sponsors.
Well, I'll tell you why this works. I'll tell you why it works for me. For one thing, you respect the fact that, I've got a whole life outside of this, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
This is a very important part of my life. This started out as, like, your main thing.
Right.
And we had our little moment together. Look back to episode, whatever that was. Look, whatever that was. But we had a little moment.
Go back and look.
We had a little moment. But then we realized over time, or especially I think I realized that, one thing that makes this podcast successful, and for anybody that's trying to start theirs, is you are extremely organized and you are extremely consistent. You stick to the plan. No, it's like Wednesday at this time, it's got to be up, and you do the show prep, and it's always sent the night before at 6 o'clock, and it could not happen that way without you. Me, I'm more out there in the street, hustling, getting cash, making money. So I do that part,
Yes.
I mean, we both do, but I'm more focused on that part, and then
you're really
sharing my experiences from being out there in the street, hustling, going on dates, dealing with family, growing my brand, and then we share this experience and we share it with each other. So that's why it works. But really, it couldn't happen without your consistency. So if people just think they're going to do a podcast because they can't get a TV show, and it's going to work? No, you put a lot of work into the behind the scenes.
It is for both of us. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I wanted to tell everybody that. But anyway, moving on. We'll chat some stories. Also, 2 things we want to remind you. We are having our next live podcast show next week.
Woo!
December 15th. You need to buy your tickets. This show will sell out. We're only doing 7:30 p.m. at the DC Improv on Friday night. Tickets are on sale at dcimprov.com. It's going to be terrific. So
it's our holiday show, baby. Holiday 2017.
I'm coming out in my birthday suit.
We should really talk about the highlights over the year. Really, the highlights from the podcast.
Yeah.
If you guys are coming to the podcast, tweet us at Hey Frase, at Paul Wharton, and let us know what you want to talk about, what you want us to talk about at that live show, because I really want it to be, it's like the end of our year. It's a chance for us to get together with our fans and really celebrate. But I want to talk about some of the highlights over the year, like some stories maybe that people want more follow-up on.
You want more follow-up, any questions that you have for us? Because do you think we should do a Q&A at the end?
I think we should.
I think we should do a Q&A at the end. And, I know. I kind of want to dress up as something. I'm trying to think. I don't know what.
Maybe we will. Let's keep it a secret.
I know. Well, you know how they have the beard glitter?
Yeah.
Like, I almost want to do that, like, for my beard or whatever, for my mustache. I don't know. I'm just
the only place you have a bunch of.
Oh yeah, my bush. Yeah, I could do a huge beard. That could be huge. Yes, I could. You're right.
You could.
You know, have you seen that beard glitter that these men put on? Then they put like
I've
ornaments.
Seen it.
I could do that with my bush. I'd have it covered.
Okay.
I actually just got it waxed though, but I could probably.
I saw.
I could get.
I saw you went back this time without me, huh?
I did, but this time I had to pay, so don't worry.
Ooh. I'm glad you didn't call me.
Exactly.
I bet you if you did, you wouldn't have had to.
I know you.
You wouldn't have had to. I would have called in advance. Yes. It's so interesting. Can I mention something?
Yes, of course you can. Feel free. Mention away.
Mention away. You know.
I pay for too much?
No. Well, that's your prerogative. No, I pay for a lot of shit, but, whatever. But I'll tell you something. Isn't there, how much power do you have in your name?
More than I think. Much more than I think. I am a person, I read people on Facebook all the time, know your worth. I'll throw girl.
Yeah.
I know. When people are like, know your worth, girl. Like, no, and all these men write this, like, know your worth. And I'm always like, I never know it. You never know it. Because I'm always like, oh, they can find somebody else. So I got to make a deal.
Okay. Well, it's interesting to me, and I'm going to have a moment with the listeners, because I want people to really, you're talking about know your worth.
Right.
Really know your worth just in terms of your name. Just your name. Okay, so I was out the other night with a friend of mine who is a wonderful guy. He's done fine in business, but he's a little like, he's the guy, if you're walking up somewhere, he'll always walk behind you.
Okay, sure.
Because he's like a little unsure of himself.
Okay.
So we go to this bar, okay, and it's like an exclusive bar or whatever in D.C. I mean, I know the owner and I've been there many times. But this guy doesn't know that. So he's like walking 2 steps behind me, but really fast. People can be walking like really fast, but 2 steps behind you.
Sure.
Like their feet are moving a lot. And I'm like, well, where are you going with all that scuffling? But anyway, so he's like, well, do you think we can get in? And I look back at him, I'm like, to this bar? Like, I'm like,
yes.
Did somebody steal my identity? Like, why not? So we walk up to the door, and there's a like a doorman downstairs, and there's, that's all that's down there. And then you got to get past him to go in. And the guy's like, hi, can I help you? I was like, oh, hi, yeah, I'm Paul Wharton, and, I'd like to come up for a drink. And then he was like, oh, okay. And he's like, going up. So on the way up the steps, my friend starts hysterically laughing, and he's like, you told him you're Paul Wharton. And I'm like, that's my motherfucking name. Like, if I don't believe in that, if I don't believe in the power of
your own name,
what Brenda and Paul Sr. made, they made Paul Wharton. Whether I'm bagging groceries, doing windows at Macy's, or on the motherfucking TV and on this podcast, I'm still Paul Wharton. You know what I mean? I own that shit. That's me. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Really. And I don't think it has anything to do with that TV shit, because I'm still Paul Wharton.
Sure.
I go to places they've never seen or heard of me.
Sure.
I'm running that shit. I'm Paul Wharton. Hello. Open up. I'm coming through. I
think that's great. I wish more people, and I think women especially struggle with that. I think women, because I think that okay, now maybe this is just me, and I can't even really remember. I don't think my parents ever really... Well, my mom is really funny. In New England, people are very like Puritans. They really are. It's like nobody really has ego or flaunts anything in New England. It's very... just like low key. So my mom always never wanted us to get a ego when we were growing up. She just never felt like that was becoming, of either my brother or me. So she'd always like, no matter what we did, she'd be like, and not like in a negative way at all, but she would just be like, okay, you were good, but you weren't great.
Right.
And it would be like, I think a way of just making sure that we kept our egos in check. I think she was trying to make sure that we didn't become spoiled brats that, we're like, look how fucking great I am. But I think the problem is when your parents do that, then as you get older, you're always kind of apologetic for being out there or trying to be a star or really being yourself because you're used to somebody kind of going, well, but don't get too big of don't get a big head.
Keeping your ego in check is one thing, but then can't that go right into hating yourself? Do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, because life changes. You go through ups and downs. I've been through major downs in my life.
Sure.
Like, we talked last week, like my book. I have my book that's sitting here. A few years ago, and I've shared this with the listeners, most of you know this, the love of my life, the person I thought I was going to get married to. He was out drinking, basically, is what happened. He came home, he was drunk, he fell asleep, he threw up, he aspirated, he was in a coma for many months, and now he's a vegetable. I was so depressed, but no one really thought that I had the capacity to be that depressed, so I kept it to myself.
Sure.
But everything was falling apart around me.
Right.
I stopped. I wasn't functional. I could do, hair and makeup and come out and do like a little, open a show or go and do a little appearance over here, over there. But I really wasn't fully functioning.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to go back to what do I really want out of my life? And I had to really go back to who am I? Do you know? Who am I? Because I remember being a kid, and I'm kind of going around the block here because I want to share. I want to be, it's that time of year because we can do all that oh, this is so great, we're so fabulous all year long.
No, our lives
it's the holidays. I mean,
everybody has, we do. We all have struggles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing too. I've worked with people that present one thing to the public of how, things are great and I'm a great this and I'm a great that, and then behind the scenes they're a shit show, and I'm like, why are you fronting? Why? I mean, everybody has issues, and I think it's real.
But I don't really call them necessarily fronting because I think there's a time and a place, as housewives always say, this is not the time or the place. I mean, but there's a time and a place to share that. Although that's my experience, I wouldn't come on here every week talking about, well, y'all know what happened, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to hear that.
No, because I don't even dwell on that all year long. I don't even dwell on that all the time.
I mean, I know people don't want to tune into a depressing podcast where we're always unloading all of our issues, but I think there's a relatability. I think that's what people enjoy about us is we're not, things are highs and lows, and that's for everyone. And I think when you present, if you're always things are great and you're an awesome host and your marriage is great, but behind the scenes is really a shit show, all that stuff catches up to you, and I think you lose a lot of credibility. Sure. Whereas I think with us, we'll go, whatever. I mean, I try to be always honest about my relationship with Dan. It's highs and lows. I don't ever want people to think things are great all the time.
I'll share this quickly.
Okay.
And it's something very quick. It's something that I haven't really told the reason why I'm Paul Wharton, and I really say that with conviction, and I mean it. Roll call. Elementary school.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I know when people share these stories, oh God, get over it. And I'm over it. But I remember. You can get over some things and still remember. I remember the teacher going through the L's, the M's, the N's, the O's, the P's, to the last name. Mine was W. And then, they call your name and you say here. And I remember when they would get to Paul Wharton and I would say here, and the kids would laugh at me. They would laugh.
Why?
They would call me a sissy and a faggot and look at his big forehead and this and that. Anything that would hurt me, and it did.
Right, sure.
And I remember dreading to hear that damn Paul Wharton. I did. Because it happened so much over the years.
Gotcha.
Don't fucking call my name, lady. Do you know what I mean? You see that they fucking laugh at me. Don't call it. And I think that is why at this stage in my life, after I fixed all that shit, after I dealt with it and processed it and then put it behind me, why I said, I'm Paul Wharton. I lead with that shit. I'm motherfucking Paul motherfucking Wharton.
Yes!
Google the motherfucker or take my word for it. That's me. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, what a powerful meaning.
It came back full circle, but I know where it came from, but I've never shared it because it was just too painful.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you
that's
go.
a great moment. See, this is why everyone tunes in.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
Yeah, that's why. So you know what? And for anybody out there, you didn't have to have the same experience as me coming up, but you have that power in your name too. Just because we're here broadcasting through this medium, this podcast. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that our names have any more value than your names. Right. But lead with it. Know that it's you. It has power.
Yes.
But you give it the power.
And everybody, this is what you find out in life. Like, everyone has such gifts, whatever, whether it's you're a school teacher, whether you're an attorney, whether you're a host, whatever it is, and you play such an important role for other people when you have, like you said, just the power of knowing your worth and your name and going forth like that. It's so important. And it's important for people to, I think what I love, one of the many things I love about you, and I like doing this with myself too, is just the self-awareness of going back and kind of looking in life like, why do I behave this way?
Absolutely.
Why do I feel that way?
Absolutely.
Where does that come from? And I think a lot of times people don't give themselves enough time, and they're not patient enough, or they're very afraid to look inward to find those things and then fix them, or be honest about them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, one thing I realized just from having friends, having people I've dated, whatever the process is when I go into people's homes, there's no quiet time. It's like somebody always has to be talking. Turn the TV on as soon as you get in the door. Radio's got to be on, like movement, texting, bing, ping. In my house, really, because I see so many people and I have so many different personalities that I'm dealing with all the time.
Sure.
I got to decompress. I have to think about that shit.
Silence is so important.
Wait a minute. What just happened? And I can't do that with the TV, with the stereo, with the ping of the phone and all that. Like, I need a minute.
Yep, absolutely. That's great.
What are your talks like with your mom? Like, does your mom ever ask for like a recap of your day? What is that like for you?
Well, we really are best friends. Like, I love her so much. Like, she, we share everything together, and we've just become, we've always been close. But even now, like, we talk about everything, because of course my mom got divorced. So for years, she dished all the highs and lows about her relationship. And then, I used to have a policy because I listened to her for like 10 years. And I said to her, Mom, don't call me and bitch about your divorce until you have filed the papers. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And then she really filed the papers,
Yeah.
But we talk about everything. I mean, I tell her my relationship, and, none of it surprises her because I think she knows my wild spirit, you know?
Yeah.
And we, my brother and I, like, we self-reflect about her too, like, her parenting. Like, they were great parents, but,
but it's better now. That's always my answer when you ask me, well, how are we? It's better now. It's all better now. Everything's better now.
Well, don't you think that your parents, like, I have said, as I get older, you realize so many things. But I think, oh my God, my parents were 30, 31. Your parents were probably young when they had you.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? Yeah. You and I are older than 30. Can you imagine at 30 you had a family?
No.
Like, your family responsibility?
No.
A house, a mortgage. That was what my parents, they had a lot on their plate at just 30.
Well, I'll tell you, I asked that because, my mom and I are, of course, as you know, and everybody knows, we're very close. But something's bothering me, and I had to be honest with her the other night about it. A few years ago, I realized I was thinking, okay, what's stopping me from moving to the next level? There's a block here. And what I came up with in that moment was I focused too much on what I should have done, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Okay?
Got it.
So I made a decision. It's almost like somebody that's been smoking their whole life and then they say, nah, never again.
Yep.
I decided that I'm only working with the present and forward.
Got it.
I'm not going to have regret over decisions I made. Oh, I should have said it like this. And you know what you should have done? You know why I didn't do it? All that kind of crap.
Right.
So sometimes because I'm here 1 minute, I'm over at the studio, I'm in this meeting over here, I'm over there. It's too many. It's too much for me to go back over that. So by the time I get home after doing my day, my mom wants to have a glass of wine at her house and call me on the phone and ask me to recap my whole day. And she wants specifics. What did they say and what did you say? And I'm like, And I've been doing it, but I've been trudging through it. It's been painful for me.
Right, because
I don't want to do it. It's taxing.
And your mom's retired, so it's probably like it's her highlight of her day, but your day is like you've been going 10 hours.
Yesterday I was like, I got to tell you something. I got to share with you. This really annoys me to have to do this because this goes against what I said I would do for myself. I said I wouldn't. Replaying all these conversations from today when I've got to deal with the outcome of all of them tomorrow is not working for me.
What'd she say?
She got it.
Oh, great.
Sometimes you just have to be honest.
Yes, that's great. Do you find, though, like, because I think you and I are similar to this, like, you never want to disappoint. Like, I always feel like, and I feel this way too with pressure with my own family, but do you feel that with your parents? Like you never want to disappoint them, whether that's a phone call that they're expecting or, it's like I feel like are like me, that you kind of are a pivotal role in your family.
Well, I feel like I will stand in my truth initially and then I'll feel bad afterwards.
Right.
Because I tell my mother, I said, listen, imagine your son work for the man. Your son is the man, but you like that? I mean, your son is the man. So in my life, I'm the man, but I still work with a lot of different people.
Sure.
And I'm accountable to a lot of different things, okay?
Yes.
So, but imagine I worked for the man. I would have to go to work at 8 in the morning and I wouldn't go off till 7 p.m.
Right, so you
would not be able to talk to me.
Exactly.
So just because, like the other day when I was visiting her at her house, just because I'm here, I'm really not. Because, see, I'm on this phone and I'm on my iPad and I'm writing emails and I'm doing stuff. And then every 3 minutes she would come in and ask me my opinion on like some draperies. I'm like, what dining room chairs to buy? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm still working.
Yeah, I'll see you at 6.
See you at happy hour.
Yeah.
You know the deal. It's the cocktail time.
So funny.
I stop working.
Parents definitely have a hard time, especially like as they retire. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, look, we'll get to 3 quick stories and then we got to have Dana on. So you say 70% of people say that they don't want to give gifts this holiday season. They'd rather spend time with their family and friends. What's your gift policy in the house? Does everyone still give gifts?
I'm not really into it. I believe that everyone likes to unwrap something pretty. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I think everyone will get a gift or two from me, and I think my mom is a big gift giver, and she wraps things beautifully. My sister as well, she's a very nice gift giver. But what's more important to me is people being together.
Yeah.
Whether it's your universal family, meaning your friends, or it's your mom or your dad, if you're lucky enough to still have them around, or your kids or whatever. Like, everyone coming together and making it about just great food and for me, cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
No, really.
I mean, I love a drink.
I just want the holiday music. That is the holiday to me. Like, actually, a whole bunch of gifts, that's kind of taxing.
Oh, I know. The gift giving, I'm with you. And so do all Americans. 50% of Americans said they feel pressured to either buy a gift. Close to 50% of respondents said they feel pressured to buy gifts and spend more money than they can afford. According to this SunTrust Harris poll, 69% of Americans said they would give up gift giving altogether if all their family members agreed. They said they'd rather spend the money on a family trip, a dinner with the family all together, or they'd like to use the money to pay off bills. Yes, 60% of Americans said they spend more time with loved ones if they didn't feel the pressure to give gifts. They say that the money they have to spend on giving everybody a gift prevents them from like booking a trip and coming to see everyone later in the year.
I get it completely.
I'm so over gift giving. aside from the kids, it's like, why? And I hate the pressure of feeling like with adults, right? Dan would probably be upset, but even I'm like, Dan, I don't need a gift from your siblings,
right.
And I don't, I'd rather
he doesn't
just
agree. He likes for you all to give them all gifts.
Oh, yeah, he's super traditional. Like, everybody gets a gift. Everybody only buys a person one gift, but I'm like, okay, hon, as this family continues to grow, I know I sound like a Grinch, but I'm
a little bit. Everybody only buys one gift. What's that thing called where they picked it?
Too much? Oh, no, we don't do the Secret Santa. Everybody. So I buy a gift for both of his brothers, his brother's wife, their 2 boys, and then Dan buys a gift for them.
Oh, wait. That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
No. And what about your family? Buy gifts for all those?
Same thing. So Kimber gets a gift, Seth gets a gift, my mom gets a gift from me, then they get a gift from Dan. And then I tell my mom
they
all the
better
time,
come over and sit down and have some of this honey baked ham and some of this Veuve Clicquot I got. Shit. I'm not, look.
What do? Do you buy Holly? Do you buy your sister a gift?
I don't know what I do. I think I gift, well,
like, what? No.
I buy my mom mostly gifts, and then my nieces, they all get a gift. But shit,
nothing.
you know what? Hey, listen, this is what you do. Pour yourself a little bit of brown liquor, sit in front of the fireplace, and pull your checkbook out. Look, they'll come to you. They'll come to you.
I don't
Whatever
wanna
you
do
can
that
show.
either.
You know, $10, 25, 50, 100.
$10, kids, come on over.
Listen.
What do you think?
I bet you they'll
Don't
take
feel any
it.
pressure to give me a hug, though. What's your number?
Right.
Like, oh.
Sit back here and put my feet up.
Yeah, rub my feet or something. Here's a $10 shot.
All right.
Yeah,
They know.
I think that's a big deal.
That works
I
on
like
Uncle
that. Oh my
Paul.
God.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you feel about this? Do you have any friends that have gone abroad, volunteered in any third world countries or on any missionaries? Because I can't decide if I like this campaign or not. But there is a woman who is asking Americans to think before they snap a selfie when they're volunteering abroad.
Okay.
Supposedly, this is a serious message of a joint campaign created by two groups that have spent the past few years poking fun at problematic photos taken by Western volunteers. They often have the tendency to paint themselves as, quote, saviors to needy people in low-income countries, but it does just the opposite. The campaign launched earlier this month, and it offers guidelines and a video for first-time travelers or young volunteers. And it essentially is saying that when you post a selfie with, like, a kid or something that you're like, oh, hey, I'm here in Africa and I'm helping feed the children, that it creates a stereotype in aid in developing countries that essentially Westerners are the only way that they can be saved.
Really?
Do you think this is stretching?
It creates a stereotype.
The campaign says that the selfie takers may not realize that their posts, from the photo to the caption to the hashtags, can perpetuate stereotypes and rob the subject of dignity or privacy.
Huh. How do they ever know? They have iPhone 10s? I mean, no, I'm not trying to be... I'm just like, how are we robbing them? What's going on?
How do they know? That's a great question.
But isn't it... But if I don't see that selfie on social media, and I don't know...
Well, you
that
and
means,
I see
that
it.
means... But check this
Right.
out. But if I don't see that selfie on social media, I don't know the program that they're a part of. I don't know where they are spending their time and their effort to help people. I don't know where the need is. No, really.
Well, you make a good point, but they say a seemingly innocent selfie with, say, for example, an African kid can perpetuate the idea that only Western aid, charity, and intervention can, quote, save the world. This is according to Beith Ogard.
I don't agree. I just don't agree.
These children...
I think whatever help they can get is you know, so many organizations, so many people need help. I mean, shit, right here where we live.
It says these children are portrayed as helpless and pitiful, while the volunteer is made out to be a superhero who will rescue them from their misery. You know, I kind of think, do you think when people do take selfies, like when Angelina Jolie is over there and there's like a whole campaign, do you think it's self-serving? I mean, I think it is a little self-serving. Don't you think that they're like, hey...
Well, how come when people take pictures with, you know, African kids, everybody thinks it's self-serving? Like if they were... kids that were needy from Germany or somewhere else, people would say, oh, that's sweet.
Well, I'm torn on this one because, one, I think that these selfies and when people post themselves doing charity, it creates awareness and it creates a ripple effect for others to get involved.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I think I know a lot of people who do it wanting the praise of being there. So... I don't know. I'm torn. And they've got a new Instagram account that's trying to raise awareness and ask people to stop posting their selfies. It's called Barbie Savior. And it has Barbie posed in various places, kind of taking a mocking approach on that she's not a savior. It has 132,000 followers. Yes. It's pretty crazy. So it's trying to make it as like stop the selfies.
I don't like when people judge others that are doing good work in the way that they are sharing that, because it's more than the people that are judging are doing for the most part.
I think you have a good point. Last story, and then we'll have Dana on. How do you feel about this, too? A church of Sweden earlier this month also announced that they're going to stop clergy calling God he or the Lord in a bid to crack down on gendered language. So it's just going to be God, because God could be a woman, God could be a man, God could be a gay man. You think that it's too sensitive to get rid of he and the Lord? Or do you think it's a good thing? Or are you exhausted?
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Well, I just wonder, Leslie. Okay, Leslie on our show is. I know Leslie because she has a wonderful faith-based sort of foundation. How do you feel? Can you make your way over here to my microphone? I want to know how you feel about this. About them dropping the he and the Lord. Does it bother you, or do you feel like the Lord is a man? And I don't care either way. You can be honest. We're not going to judge you.
Okay. Well, I do think that the Lord is a man. So for me, being raised and knowing that he's a he, and now all of a sudden like change it, it's kind of weird.
You think so?
And the relationship for me is better if I know that, because a guy protects you. So that's the image I have of God, He's a protector. If I see it as a woman, I wouldn't feel I don't know.
But I told the girl that I was having an affair with never to call me if her tire broke down. So what does that mean?
Never to call her.
I said, if your tire breaks down, don't call me.
Well, you'll call AAA.
Call AAA.
Well, I appreciate you being honest, because I think a lot of women feel that way. I mean, I sort of like the idea of God being gender neutral. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, it's for me, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I mean, I heard somebody yesterday in a conversation with me say, God, and then they said, she wouldn't like that, talking about God. Did I flinch? No, she wouldn't, girl. I mean, hey, listen.
Oh my God.
You're out there. I believe. I have faith. I'm good.
Well, you guys, hit us up on Instagram, on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. I'm on Insta, Hey Frase. It's Paul Wharton Style on Instagram, Paul Wharton on Twitter, at Hey Frase on Twitter. And Dana Marlowe is next on the podcast. We love you guys.
We love you guys.
Enjoy
Bye.
the interview.
Yeah.
Dana Marlowe, you're here. You are such an inspiring woman that I had to have you on this show, because I'm sure everywhere you go, you just inspire women, men, people to try something new that has this like insane ripple effect.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here with you.
Well, look, you and I met. You were speaking at this great brunch for women, and you had started this organization a couple of years ago called I Support the Girls. And when you spoke, I loved, you were just so genuine. You were so authentic. You were talking about how basically, you sort of introed with your fashion and.
Sure.
That was my favorite part
because I'm a total nut job. So the background from the story is just very much, it's a basic concept that I think a lot of people can relate to. I work really hard and love what I do for my career and my day job. And sometimes that work-life balance is really, really hard. No matter how much you want to talk about it, read articles, listen to podcasts, it's actually doing and living work life, like doing the exercise, doing the job that you love, if you have a family, taking care of yourself, taking care of others. It's the list, it's ad nauseum, and trying to do it.
Well, I was going to say, because I know you're married, that you have a husband, but do you all have kids, if you don't mind me asking?
We do. We have 2 kids. We have 2 boys that are 9 and 6.
Wow.
And they're awesome. And I absolutely love being a parent. It's one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences that I've ever had. But like balancing it all.
Wow.
I really think Randy Zuckerberg said it best, where she's like trying to balance all of it. It's like, pick 3 of like the 5, right? So if you have your work, you have family, you have exercise, you have friends, and there's a 5th one that I'm blanking on. I'm failing the test.
Okay.
And it's like pick 3. Any given moment, you can't do it all. It's just too hard. And so I had let the exercise, the kind of go by the wayside, and having 2 kids, my body shape and changed. And I was really heads down focused on working and doing what I love. And lo and behold, I gained weight, right? And so taking it off took time.
Yeah.
And diligence. Mm-hmm. And I'm sometimes lousy at that, right? Having to like actually exercise versus talk about exercise.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a whole nother. I mean, to try and keep up with what we should look like, or, I only exercise solely for health, and now I only do exercise that I enjoy. I'm done with all the bullshit of like, let's do all these cycling courses and let's sign up for this crazy boot camp at 5 a.m. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Right.
Like, I love to walk. I am going to walk. That's all I'm going to do. If I never do another exercise, I'm never going to beat myself up.
Right.
But it took me a long time to get there.
Right. You have to get there. So I did. And I lost 35 pounds.
Wow.
And over like a year year plus period of time.
Okay.
Like a year and a half. Like it wasn't, instant. As I share the story of, I needed new clothes, but I'm not somebody who cares about fashion or clothes or a lot of materialistic kind of things. It's just not my thing. You're never going to see me looking at fashion magazines or curious on what's on the latest on the runway. I dress for practicality. I dress for comfort. But after losing all that weight, my clothes didn't fit. And so my friends were like, we need to take you shopping. You need clothes. I was like, yeah. Like, and I shrugged it off. But then one morning, my husband said to me, Dana, I know you're not going shopping for clothes, but oh my God, could you please go get some new bras? Because they're not fitting over your shoulders. They're not fitting supporting you in front. They're not fitting around, your chest. And he goes, this is ridiculous. They're really not doing anything. Could you please go buy some new bras? So I wound up going to, I'm here locally. I wound up going to, in Bethesda to a mall there. And I went into the Soma. And as I was getting fitted, I asked the sales associate in the boutique, I was like, hey, look, it just dawned on me, like, I need to get like a whole new wardrobe of bras. Like, this wasn't like, hey, I'm coming in for 2. This was like nothing fits. And I said, can you refurbish bras like a laptop? Which I would think I'd share that, right? And she looked at me and she's like, you must be in IT. I was like, yeah, totally, I am. She's like, yeah, most people don't ask the question quite like that. And from there is how this whole thing took off, because I got my new bras and I went home and found that a homeless organization nearby in DC called Thrive DC, which is an amazing organization that helps thousands of individuals in the DC metro region, in the DC area specifically, providing them with food and services and showers and computers, lab space and clothing and activities and events and whatnot. I called them up out of the blue after finding an article online and saying, hey, I have 16 perfectly good bras. Do you want them? They're used.
Right.
They're all fully functional. There's nothing wrong with any of them.
The wires aren't like sticking out.
Sticking out, and like the hooks on the back all work. There's nothing like, funky about them. There's no rips or tears. I would give them, to a friend or a sister, but they don't fit me at all anymore. And they're all clean, but I'm happy to rewash all of them fresh. This is the size. Do you want them? And he said yes so quickly.
Wow.
And I was completely blown away, because on many websites it says no, here's our list of needs, and it'll say no undergarments.
Oh, okay, got it. I get, and the thing is, when I heard you speak, we don't even think about that. When you think about giving to clothing shelter, homeless shelter, you're like, oh, well, it's probably women who are going back into the workplace. They need like a business suit. They need pants. They need warm gloves. So when you were talking about undergarments, I was like, what? How did no one think of this?
Totally. I was surprised, and I'm somebody who donates our clothing all the time. Like I'm very comfortable donating, new stuff. I'm also happy to clean out, closets or my children's, books or furniture. And I have different locations and organizations that collect these items. I mean, I'm somebody who donated my wedding dress the week after my wedding. That's just my style.
Love it.
And so this was just so new. And so I asked him, I said, look, I didn't know you needed this. So I don't know what I don't know. This is to the shelter in DC. What else do you guys need? And he said, maxi pads and tampons. And that, Sarah, was the first time that I ever thought about what it must be like to be a person experiencing homelessness who has their period. A woman on the streets, a woman in shelters. And it's the kind of thing you can't stop it and be like, hey, life's gotten, really tricky lately, and, this is not going to be an easy winter. It'd be really great not to have my period for this quarter.
Right. Not happening.
Turn that shit off, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, and so you can't do that. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm grateful that I'm able to go to my, a big box store and pick up a whole lot of maxi pads and tampons and liners. And I thought, I'm going to put this out on Facebook. I didn't know about this.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, we all post stuff all the time, like on social media, and, you know, like, here's my Instagram, here's my latte art, you know,
Sure.
or like, here's my, you know, little political statement on Twitter.
Yep.
And, you know, here's my Facebook post. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just a regular, you know, like DC suburban working mom. I'm not anybody special. I'm just going to put this out on Facebook. Maybe I'm not the only one who didn't know this. And so I put it out on Facebook, and it exploded. And my friends were sharing it, and their friends were sharing it. Everyone was writing in with similar concepts of, I'd like to donate. I have 8 bras. I have 5 bras. I have 12 bras. Oh, I recently have changed sizes. I have a whole drawer full. I have sports bras. And I'm like, huh. All right, well, let's coordinate pickups. And I posted on a local listserv. And so for several months, I was doing porch pickups on my lunchtime or early evening, running around to people's homes in the DC area, picking up bras. And what I would say is, if you're able to donate your bras, maybe you're able to consider picking up a package of pads or tampons, or if you see your brand on sale that you might use if you use products, can you pick up a buy one, get one or something like that and donate it too?
So how did it, I mean, this is what was amazing to me, is obviously at that point, you know, you were just like a active citizen, and, you know, you were picking up bras, but now it's a website, it's pickups and organization.
It's huge.
Yeah. So did that just completely like spiral and manifest itself, or did you kind of
a lot of nurturing behind the scenes that is not necessarily on display to make that happen, and that's a totally collective effort. So what happened is, after that first donation, which happened fall of 2015,
wow,
I realized that this was big, because I wound up donating, my 16 bras became over 1,000 bras.
Okay.
And a couple packages of, you know, pads and tampons became over 7,100, over 7,000 products.
Got it.
And I saw how easy that was. But a Post story picked it up, and they did a story on it in the weekend section. And what I wasn't prepared for was how many people were touched by the story and wanted to donate themselves, and my phone blew up. I couldn't actually use my phone for a couple days, because every time I thought I was about to open something, like, the tweets would start coming in, and it would be like, you know, the emails would start pouring in, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages every hour. And bras are dignity.
Yeah.
For so many women, right? And so for women who are fleeing domestic violence situations, for people who have found themselves for one reason or another experiencing homelessness, it's one more thing. And I started doing some research into it. So that's the kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Realizing, what if this is scalable, right? And so for anybody who's, you know, if you're listening to this, you know, hey, Frase, Sarah's awesome podcast, right? And you're like, oh gosh, this woman's about to get nerdy on us. So for the 3 people who are like, yes, get nerdy, and everyone else going, oh no. That's where I was starting to realize, what if this is scalable? And like, what would the operations take to make this, to build out the infrastructure, to make it scalable and replicable? And that's, again, remember day job, right? Is like,
I know, plus mom, plus wife. I mean, oh my Lord, friend.
And me, right?
Daughter,
plus, right, self-care.
Yes.
And so, but I did it because there's a phrase that indicates you're not obligated to complete the work, but neither can you desist from it. And so this was me not desisting. This was saying, okay, I see a problem and I see a solution. So let's see what we can do. So I started running pilot studies in different cities with women who wanted to do this. And the first woman to successfully take this on is a woman named Rachel Hager, and she's in Indiana. And she said, I want to collect 3,500 bras for Indianapolis women before I turn 35.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, that's amazing. That's a huge goal. I like goals. I'm a goals, objectives kind of gal.
Sure.
And she's like, I want to do it before my birthday. And so this is now in 2016. Her birthday's at the end of the year in December, which gave her about 11 months from when we were talking. And she did collect the 3,500 bras, but not in the 11 months she did it in 88 days.
What? That's like mind blowing.
Right?
Mind freaking
thousands
blowing.
and thousands of menstrual products, thereby helping all of these women and girls in Indianapolis. And then we had Erica in Knoxville, who did an amazing job. And we had Jill and Tracy in Chicago. And we had Joanna in Cleveland. And so we built out the I Support the Girls affiliate network. And so right now, Rachel, who's absolutely incredible and inimitable, if that's how that word is pronounced. She's amazing, and she's our National Director of Affiliate Outreach, onboarding and vetting new affiliates in different cities. We have 50 I Support the Girls affiliates in the U.S. and abroad. We're in Australia, Pakistan, Thailand, Canada, and have also done events and outreach in Mexico, Costa Rica, and France.
Again, for whatever reason, we do not think when we think homelessness and we think homeless women, you were describing all the things that once you got involved in this community, what homeless women use essentially as substitutes.
For sure. Homeless women are using cardboard, the inner side, like the inside of toilet paper, paper towel, cardboard rolls. They're using the inside of mattresses. They're using ripped up, dirty T-shirts as tampons and pads with duct tape. The list goes on, and it's really awful. And this is dignity. Like you can't stop your period, and so your option is to bleed down your leg in your limited clothing while you're outside. Also, there's really not a lot of options. So, right? This is where it's always interesting. I'm always curious. Have you ever been somewhere, Sarah, where you don't have? So tell me a story.
Oh, well, I've had a period on my boyfriend's parents' white dining room table chairs. So
beautiful. And what was when you realized?
Mortifying.
What did you do? Right.
I said to my boyfriend at the time, I was like, "Oh my God, your parents are going to kill me." But on their nice dining room white chairs, I've just had my period, and he's like, "Okay." And so he tells his mother, who was very modest and very sweet. She's like, "Oh dear, and she takes the chair and removes it and puts a cloth over it. But of course, at that point, everyone's like, "What? Did you?"
And what about your pants or your outfit?
Everything is a mess. And I don't know about you, but I'm 35 years old, and almost every month my period still surprises me.
Every month.
And I'm like,
what is that?
I'm still surprised.
What is that?
I've been having this since I was 15. I should know this.
Totally. I've counted up the number of periods. Why am I still surprised every month?
Every month.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, that's back again. It's I would like to know. That's a sentiment. I feel like you guys should go out there and really. On Instagram, on your Facebook, we want to hear your stories. Have you had a period and you're willing to share it here and been on one of these funny examples? Alternately, does your period surprise you?
Yes.
Again, so I'm 41, and I've got my period at 14. We're talking about decades of a menstrual cycle, and I'm still oh look, hey, what do you know? Did I just have this? That's what happens every month.
Right.
Didn't I just have my period?
Yes.
Why didn't I get enough of a break? Right? And I did every month. I had a reprieve, obviously, when pregnant with my boys, and then I nursed both kids for 13 months, and I didn't have my period during that time. It can come back for women who decide to nurse and do nurse, but it didn't. So I did have a reprieve. I do remember that.
What a joy.
And it was, meanwhile, my breasts were leaking everywhere. So, it was whatever. There was still bodily fluid that was trade-off. But I've had my period. I was in Budapest 2 years ago, and we're sitting there at this gorgeous, this fancy, Michelin-rated restaurant, and I'm in my white pants. Oh, okay, and I never wear white. This is I'm not, but I was sent I had some gorgeous clothing. So we're in the middle of dinner, and our entrees are served, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting my period. And I tell this to my husband. He's like, well, right now? And I'm like, completely. And I walk up to the hostess, and I say, I explain, I showed her the pointed at my watch. I showed her my phone with the calendar, and I circled the 28th. Okay, because I was like they're on the same numerical system.
Sure.
And then I pointed down like at my body and had the maroon napkin shaped in a triangle format. This is the best game of charades. Okay, she got it immediately, so she started laughing. And she's like, no problem. And it was that like instant women to women like camaraderie. Yeah.
Dina, ISupportTheGirls.org is now a whole organization.
Totally.
You have a room filled with bras and pads and tampons at your house. Like you are distribution center 0.
Right.
And it goes from there. Where can people get involved? I know, so many women listen to this. I'm sure so many women are going to be like, oh my God, I never thought of it. Just like when I heard you speak.
Right.
So how can people find you, get involved, donate?
So the first step would be, visit the website, ISupportTheGirls.org. And for those fancy social media types, you can also reach out to us through all the popular channels. On Facebook, we're Support the Girls and Women. On Twitter, we're I_support_girls. And on Instagram, we're all one word, I Support the Girls. Come donate products, and we would love to have you on the team.
You're terrific. Dina Marlowe, thank you so much for being on the Hey Frase pod.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that